जय पंचतत्वा जय पंचतत्वा पंचतत्वा जय पंचतत्वा
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Bhagavad Prabhu, is it audible and visible?
Yes, Prabhuji. It's audible. You can increase the volume. Camera is on. It's visible.
You can put a chat message. Bhagavad
Yes.
Prabhu.
The audio is clear, Prabhu. Audio is fine.
His Grace Swayam Prakash Prabhu got another engagement. So because of that, I am here. Please tolerate me for today. So we will directly start from the shloka recitation instead of kirtan as per the online class schedule. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Together. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, we welcome all the devotees online and offline for today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. We are discussing from the fourth canto, the creation of the fourth order, chapter number 26. King Purunjana goes to the forest to hunt, shloka number 6. Shri Bhagavad Prabhu, in case there is any inconvenience in the audio, you can please put a chat message, as I may not be able to hear you.
Sure, Prabhu.
तीर्थेषु प्रतिदृष्टेषु
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. We are not able to hear you, Prabhu.
Translation: if a king is too attracted to eating flesh, he may, according to the directions of the revealed scriptures on sacrificial performances, go to the forest and kill some animals that are recommended for killing. One is not allowed to kill animals unnecessarily or without restrictions. The Vedas regulate animal killing to stop the extravagance of foolish men influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. Purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanavind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The question may be raised why a living being should be restricted in sense gratification. If a king to learn how to kill may go to the forest and kill animals, why should a living entity who has been given senses not be allowed unrestricted sense gratification? At the present moment, this argument is put forward even by so-called swamis and yogis, who publicly say that because we have senses, we must satisfy them by sense gratification. So here, King Puranjana is going to the forest, leaving his wife. Just to give a brief background to the audience in temple, because they are running a different series compared to the online classes. Narad Muni is giving allegorical story to King Prachini Barhi, that how there was a king called as Puranjana. He was living in a city. Correct? That story you might be knowing. So that is chapter is going on, and here now he is married to a wife, and now he is leaving the wife and going to the forest. So here it is considered that Prabhupada explains that how leaving the wife, going to the forest and hunting is actually compared to woman hunting. So we are continuing the purport, that how Prabhupada is explaining about sense gratification. The whole theme of the purport is about whether sense gratification is allowed or no, because the king himself is going and doing sense gratification. At the present moment, this argument is put forward even by so-called swamis and yogis who publicly say that because we have senses, we must satisfy them by sense gratification. These foolish swamis and yogis, however, do not know the injunctions of the Shastras. Indeed, sometimes these rascals come out to defy the Shastras. They even publicly announce that there should be no more Shastras, no more books. Just come to me, they say, and I shall touch you, and you will become immediately spiritually advanced. Because demoniac people want to be cheated, so many cheaters are present to cheat them. At the present moment, in this age of Kali Yuga, the entire human society has become an assembly of cheaters and cheated. For this reason, the Vedic scriptures have given us the proper directions for sense gratification. Everyone is inclined in this age to eat meat and fish, drink liquor, and indulge in sex life. But according to the Vedic injunctions, sex is allowed only in marriage. Meat eating is allowed only when the animal is killed and offered before the goddess Kali. And intoxication is allowed only in a restricted way. In this verse, the word niyamyate indicates that all these things, namely animal killing, intoxication, and sex, should be regulated. Regulations are meant for human beings, not for animals. The traffic regulations on the street telling people to keep up to the right or the left are meant for human beings, not for animals. If an animal violates such a law, he is never punished, but a human being is punished. The Vedas are not meant for the animals, but for the understanding of human society. So Prabhupada is telling that sense gratification may be there for animals, but not unrestricted way for human beings. For human beings, there are regulations. Okay. The Vedas are not meant for the animals, but for the understanding of human society. A person who indiscriminately violates the rules and regulations given by the Vedas is liable to be punished. One should therefore not enjoy his senses according to his lusty desires, but should restrict himself according to the regulative principles given in the Vedas. If a king is allowed to hunt in a forest, it is not for his sense gratification. We cannot simply experiment the art of killing. If a king, being afraid to meet rogues and thieves, kills poor animals and eats their flesh comfortably at home, he must lose his position. Because in this age, kings have such demoniac propensities, monarchy is abolished by the laws of nature in every country. People have become so degraded in this age that on the one hand, they restrict polygamy. On the other hand, they hunt for women in so many ways. Many business concerns publicly advertise that topless girls are available in this club or in that shop. Thus, women have become instruments of sense enjoyment in modern society. The Vedas enjoin, however, that if a man has the propensity to enjoy more than one wife, as if sometimes the propensity for men in the higher social order, such as the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, and even sometimes the Shudras, is allowed to marry more than one wife. Marriage means taking complete charge of a woman and living peacefully without debauchery. At the present moment, however, debauchery is unrestricted. Nonetheless, society makes a law that one should not marry more than one wife. This is typical of a demoniac society. So on one hand, they are telling that one should not marry more than one wife. On the other hand, they are going and searching newer and newer ways how to associate with other women. So this is a demoniac tendency of today's society. And the monarchs which were there in the Vedic times are no more there. They are not killing for learning to fight, but they are killing for sense gratification. So that is not allowed according to Vedic scriptures. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। Hare Krishna. We once again welcome all the devotees online and offline for today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam discussion from the 4th canto, 26th chapter, shloka number 6. So I would like to sincerely take the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas and would like to have their prayers so that I can do proper justice to the service of discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. Not very qualified to speak on this elevated subject matter of sense gratification, but however, I will try to share whatever I've heard from my spiritual teachers and put forward before you. And if there are any corrections or any comments, please feel free to share at the end. So today's topic I have kept as gratification for liberation. Now you may wonder, what is this topic? Gratification for liberation? Sense gratification and liberation goes ill together. One can never liberate oneself by sense gratification. But what is that concept of gratify the senses so that ultimately we liberate ourselves? So what is that concept? It's a very deep concept given in the scriptures. So let us explore that today with various examples and pastimes from the Srimad Bhagavatam. That how basically we need to regulate our sense gratification. It is not that we can give up immediately. And it is not that we too much gratify the senses. Neither of them is there. So let us explore this understanding from different aspects of the scriptures. Srila Prabhupada in the purport, very big purport, he mentions about why restrict at all sense gratification. When senses are there, it is meant for sense enjoyment. But those who have such tendencies, they will be ending up with cheater gurus. And they will be inclined for sense gratification, break the four regulative principles, and indiscriminately violate the rules and regulations of the Vedas. So, So Prabhupada then goes on to discuss about how the today's there is no monarchy available, and the times when the kings used to kill for learning and for protecting is not there anymore. Shri Shri Jagannath Balbhadra Sudamai ki jai, Shri Shri Gaurnathai ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So there is a wrong understanding, which I believe. Let us ask all of you a question. What do you feel is the correct understanding? You can share your thoughts. We hear that first we need to get Krishna consciousness, taste. Unless we don't get taste, artificially we cannot give up sense gratification. पहले रुचि आना चाहिए, टेस्ट आना चाहिए भगवान के लिए. उसके बाद after that we can automatically give up sense gratification. Don't try to too much restrict your senses. ये नहीं खाना, वो नहीं खाना, या ये नहीं देखना, वो नहीं देखना. प्रभु ये बाद में, पहले भक्ति करो, टेस्ट आने दो. जब टेस्ट आ जाएगा then automatically everything will go away, sense gratification will go away. Is this a correct understanding? What do you feel? Some are nodding their heads no. Online, okay. Radharani Sumukhi Mataji is telling yes, this is a correct understanding. Okay, so there is a mixed opinion here. Even Suguna Mai Mataji is telling yes, it is correct understanding. Yes, even some speakers I have heard that yes, and to some extent, yeah, that no, we cannot completely tell no, this is a wrong understanding. Even Prema Priya Mataji is telling yes, thank you for your opinion. So yes, to a great extent, to an extent we can see that yeah, we cannot artificially give up sense gratification unless we get something higher. But now the question is, as a sadhaka's point of view, do we wait for the taste to come? Until that, enjoy the sense gratification. Will that happen? Because asakti, ruchi, they are so high levels. What are the stages before that? Anartha nivritti, bhajana kriya, sadhu sangha. So these require some austerity. We might have to give up our material duties, or not give up, but regulate our material duties so that we take more association. We need to come to temple weekends and sometimes festivals, sometimes during the weekdays for services. So this requires an austerity. And unless we don't take even in the stages of Ashtanga Yoga, how it goes, Yama, Niyama, Asana. So there are do's and don'ts. So unless we don't start our bhakti, our sadhana with some niyama, some rules and regulations, some don'ts, till that time we cannot wait for the ruchi and asakti and the taste to come. And that is why Prabhupada gives example of typhoid patient. The typhoid patient is restricted by the doctor not to eat oily food items. Is it not? Why? How? If one doctor tells no problem, you eat, the immunity will take over. Till the immunity takes over, no, he has to follow some rules, and then it will help the immunity to take over. Yes, Krishna consciousness is there within everybody, but to get it outside, we need to facilitate it, and for that the sense regulation is prescribed by the Vedas, by the scriptures, and that is how we can generate our Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada very, very nicely exemplifies in that very example of the typhoid patient, which I can immediately relate. Or some people, or once Prabhupada also gives an example that if we pour too much ghee in the fire, then what will happen? So much fire will happen. Devanarayan was telling what lot of fire will come. If we put too much ghee in the fire at a shot, let us say it's a fire of little, not much great quantity, not yagya fire that may be very big, and we put 2 kg ghee in a little diya, what will happen to that? It will get extinguished. It is one way to understand that pouring too much ghee in the fire will not help to ignite the fire. So another way to understand what is this fire and what is this ghee. The fire is the material desires, and pouring ghee is to satisfy the itch, scratching the itch. I will enjoy more my senses. And after enjoying, there is a wrong philosophy of some books and samadhi also. We have heard about it, which is a wrong, which is not accepted. So if you put more ghee in the fire, thinking that the fire will be, more, it will spread more fire and it will
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
satisfy. That is not a correct understanding.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. There is disturbance in the audio.
Another way of understanding is that we don't have that much capacity of having ghee, of enjoying sense gratification. Let us say, like gulab jamun, we eat 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How much can we eat? Gulab jamun. Our body is not capable of enjoying unrestricted sense gratification. Thinking that unrestricted sense gratification will completely satisfy us. So there is some disturbance in the audio.
Prabhuji, the audio is not clear. No, Prabhuji.
Chat. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Changing our network, let us see now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Is it better now? Venkatramani, still not clear. Okay, we are changing the network again. Maybe there is a network issue. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. I have muted. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
It's clear, Prabhuji, now.
Krishna.
You
So
can continue.
we were discussing that how the sense gratification, when it is too much done, it may satisfy us, but it doesn't satisfy fully. We don't have that much capacity to pour the ghee also, and neither the fire will be extinguished. So we have to understand that what way we have to do the sense gratification as a sadhaka. We can learn. Okay, if it is still echoing, we can adjust the camera to be so that we could change the direction of the speaker. Okay. Okay, just one more minute, we will do the final thing. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I hope now it is better. Venkatramana Reddy Prabhu. Okay,
Yes,
thank
Prabhuji,
you.
it's clear.
So we'll quickly go to the example of Kardama Muni and other examples from the scriptures, which can actually give us a clear idea about how we can perceive the understanding of sense gratification. Okay. I'm not unmuting myself, Venkatramana Reddy Prabhu, because the audio is going from another input. If there is anything, you let me know. Okay.
Sure, Prabhuji.
So in the scriptures, we see that Narad Muni tells Vyasadev that why have you written so many sense gratificatory activities in the Vedas? Already people are inclined towards sense gratification, and you have mentioned much more. So that is the reason why you are not feeling satisfied after writing the entire Vedas. So Narad Muni tells directly for him that you can directly go to mention the pure pastimes of Lord Krishna. That is why Srimad Bhagavatam is a Amala Purana. Now, that was one example we see. But on the other side, we also see Swayambhuva Manu. What kind of grahastha life he lived as a king. When he used to get up, the alarm was the kirtans of the Lord. And at night, when he used to go to bed, there were nice 5-20 minutes kirtan which will happen. And with that kirtan, he will go to the bed. So he's although he was a king and had so many material responsibilities, duties which he had to do, but he maintained his atmosphere at the house very, very Krishna conscious. And we also see that Raghunath Das Goswami, how he slowly and gradually increased the level of his renunciation. Initially, he was taking money from his father, and then we saw that he stopped taking money. He was taking money for feeding the Vaishnavas, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but then he stopped that. Why should I do this? I will stand and beg at the Simha Dwar. And then when he did that for some time, again Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw, we are not seeing Raghunath Das Goswami anymore. Where is he? So then he was informed that he is now eating only whatever is been thrown in the dustbin after the Lord Jagannath's prasad and eaten by the cows. So he increased his level of renunciation slowly and gradually. We also see this in the scriptures. And what about Kardama Muni and Devahuti? Now Kardama Muni was a austere sage, but he ended up marrying. Not only that, he created a very nice aerial mansion, a mansion which has gardens, swimming pools, and so opulent it was, like a palace. And we may think, did Kardama Muni engaged in sense gratification? Did he got covered up out of his sadhana? But what is the correct understanding? So we see that actually Kardama Muni, the 4 reasons which are given, that he was not covered up by sense gratification, although it appears. What are the 4 reasons? Number 1, the first reason is that it was not he who had solely desired to get married and procreate, but it was the desire of the superiors. First of all, Lord himself was pleased by his austerities. When Lord saw Lord Vishnu that, oh, here is a sage doing so nice austerity, what was the result? Lord cried the tears of joy, and by which the Bindu Sarovar came. And the second reason is that Brahmaji asked him to help procreate. It was Brahmaji's request that Kardama Muni agreed. He did not want to disobey his father. So on the request of Lord Brahma, he agreed that he will marry and he will procreate. Otherwise himself, he had no separate plan, and he had Vishnu's blessings also. And it was said that one king will come. Lord Vishnu announced that a king will come, and Swayambhuva Manu, and after 3 days he will offer his daughter. So this was the blessings of the superiors he had. Also, his plan was not whimsical. He was ordained by the Lord, and he was obedient to the father, and he entered the Grahastha ashram with an exit plan, that when I get a son, I will take sannyas. Is it not? He did not have a elaborate plan of the Grahastha ashram, that okay, he will be going on. He had a plan to exit also. So that was the nature of our Kardama Muni. And sometimes even brahmacharis also, while they are joining ashram, they may tell, प्रभु जी जब तक चलेगा गाड़ी तब तक चलाएंगे, उसके बाद अगर चाहिए तो टाटा, मेरे को बाहर निकलने देना. तो Raisham was telling, अरे while joining at least don't speak like this, है ना. Many brahmacharis also don't join with aim to become sannyas. जब तक चलेगा गाड़ी चलाएंगे, वरना फिर बाहर चले जाएंगे, या तो they'll get married. So here Kardama Muni was separate. He entered only with Grahastha ashram with exit plan for sannyas. And what did he do after entering Grahastha ashram? Although he married, he did not enjoy sense gratification throughout. He again did austerities. He again involved into devotional services. Devahuti became so much tired serving him for so many years that she was then requesting that, as you told that you will give me a son, please help me. And then out of concern and out of duty, Kardama Muni did his duty of giving son to Devahuti. So somebody may ask that, Prabhuji, this you are talking about Kardama Muni and Devahuti, where is the time nowadays that we will have Kardama Muni like a husband and Devahuti like wife? Yeah, but we are just trying to learn the principle that although Kardama Muni may appear to be engaging
with the wife and going for a aerial mansion in the airplane, enjoying the material opulence. But what is the background of Kardamuni? We have to understand that also and take the complete understanding. So this is why gratification for liberation. We have to accept sense gratification only to an extent which can help us advance in our spiritual life. That should be the barometer. Our sense gratification should not take us away from our spiritual practices. So it is like we cannot do it abruptly. There was one brahmachari who joined ashram in Pune, and he was hidingly, unknowingly taking all the Mahaprasad, Rajbhog, paneer items and all. So he was caught one day and complained, went to Radhesham Prabhu that Prabhuji, ye brahmachari hamesha har roz Mahaprasad khata hai, Rajbhog khata hai. So Radhesham Prabhu talked with him, and then that brahmachari revealed, kya karu Prabhuji? Actually, before joining ashram, I was eating so much meat, and this paneer is the only thing which matches that meat, to satisfy that aspect and hankering, I am taking this paneer. So after understanding, Prabhuji gave a special concession for him that this brahmachari has a different background. Let him always, whenever Rajbhog comes, give little paneer to this brahmachari. And that satisfaction he continued, and in the association of devotees. Otherwise, if we immediately tell, don't take Rajbhog, no, it's con means no eat onion, no garlic, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, no. Suddenly it may be difficult. So gradually one can elevate oneself, and it is applicable for every one of us also, from whichever level we are. We have to gradually raise it. If we immediately tell, oh, Aaj Ekadashi has 64 rounds, Nirjala, and next day Dwadashi Mahaprasada, and with compound interest we will take more also. So one day it is indulgence, another way it is denial. So it's like a pendulum from one end to another end. So we have to balance it. Otherwise, this is an endless game. Material life is an endless game. Bhog, tyag. There is no end to this game unless we regulate it. So that is why brahmacharis are taught that how to get up early in the morning, how to chant the holy names, how to read scriptures, even before marriage. It is recommended that one take brahmachari training very strongly. That will help to become a very good grahastha. I was asking His Grace Mathura Sham Prabhu that, Prabhuji, what is your understanding that how will a person who is wanting to enter grahastha ashram, what precautions he should take before entering so that he will have a successful grahastha life? So he was telling that if his sadhana is good, then he will be able to sustain. If his sadhana is bad in youth only, when he's studying, when he's doing his college studies in voice stay or in base, wherever he's staying, then forget it. It will be very difficult to remain a good grahastha, because outside world will devour us of so many engagements that we will completely lose the track. If now with less responsibilities of only studies, father is giving money, we only have to study, and there we can't do sadhana, then forget. In grahastha ashram, then wife will come, children will come, bills will be paid, so many responsibilities has to be done. It becomes very difficult. So one has to do proper preparation initially of austerity, getting up early, doing services. It may be difficult initially, this austerity, but later on it will become very sweet and very manageable. It will not be so difficult. And then the Vedic life is so nice. Once one gets married, then he will have 2-3 children, then he will be having the nice experience of grahastha life, and then again at 50, panchoshwardham vanam vrajet, he will again wanting to go back to that olden days of brahmachari life, that how he was nicely chanting, dancing. Vanaprastha. Recently Radhesham Prabhu has started ISKCON Vanaprastha Sangha, IVS. 70 of them joined, like how we have our Gaurang Sabha camp, Nityanand Sabha camp, like that only. So 70 of them, and 5 of them joined bus party also. So it was it is a natural way of the Vedic injunction that one takes brahmacharya, then grahastha, and then vanaprastha. So the whole idea is to renounce. The tendency of renunciation, the planning should be always there, and even there also there is gradual. How the person renounces and goes to sannyasa. So that is Kutichaka sannyas, then Bahudaka, and then Parivrajakacharya and Paramhamsa. So what is the Kutichaka sannyas level? He will not immediately renounce his wife. First, he will go to a place where is distant from his home. Wife will come with Dabba Prasad and give, so that immediately he sees only, but he sees the wife when she comes to give Dabba Prasad. Then slowly he tries to go and to different holy places, and then in Parivrajakacharya he completely renounces the wife. So the Vedic injunctions are also directed in a slow and gradual renunciation way, where one can favorably progress to spiritual life. So now if we just imagine that how if a husband is 80 years old but still he is watching cricket at home, he is watching all the sports and attracted to news, what is happening, BJP, Congress, then what will be the fate? This will happen if we have not practiced initially sufficient. What was Srila Prabhupada's life? He gave car, he went to movies with his family members, he did whatever was required, and he did his best to elevate his family to Krishna consciousness. But when he saw that they are not able to come up, then he renounced. But he did try. He took the family members for a movie. He himself, he brought a car. He did his best. And even after that also, he made an arrangement for their future, that some amount of money should be given to them. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada advised Prabhupada that you should marry this girl only, although she may not be very good looking. Prabhupada told, I don't want to marry this. She is not very good looking. I want to marry somebody else. But Prabhupada's father told, no, this will be very good for you. You can go ahead, marry this one, and eventually it will help for spiritual progress. And Prabhupada was grateful for this advice of his father, Gaur Mohan Dey. So what is the idea? If somebody enters marriage life with an enjoying propensity, he will be thoroughly frustrated. That is what we hear. I heard from His Grace Kamal Lochan Prabhu. One of his counselees came to Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my marriage invitation. I am getting married. So he was having a big smile in the face. Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, you know, Kamal Lochan Prabhu is a very great scholarly person and tries to motivate, train the students, youth preacher also. So he took the invitation, kept on the table, and took the boy and made him sit. Better. ये invitation तो ठीक है, very nice, no problem. But इतना face में हंसी क्यों है आपका? इतना खुश होने का क्या बात है इसमें? So I was also shocked initially that why Prabhuji is asking like this. This fellow is getting so nice, enthusiastic marriage invitation, and iske pure all the aspirations pe pani dal rahe Prabhuji. No, but then Prabhuji told, he is very close to me. I have trained him, so I can talk very openly to him. There is no problem wrong in marriage. But what is the problem? If one enters with a lot of aspirations and enjoying mentality, if that is there, then he will be frustrated. And Kardama Muni was not like that. He was already prepared to renounce. And even though he appeared to be covered by the engaging his wife, that was not out of enjoying mentality, it was of duty. He had a duty towards his wife who had served him faithfully. So similarly, we see that many devotees enter ISKCON, initially especially, with so many material attractions. ISKCON, bada organization. Either many things are there. Some youths may be entering to have a good match with a girl, or some of them enter with business propensities. Some of them enter with eating propensities. Bada organization hai. Brahmachari's parent, they ask, अच्छा ब्रह्मचारी ज्वाइन होके 5 साल हो गया, फॉरेन चांस नहीं मिला क्या अभी तक? So many kind of different variegated aspirations people may join, especially in the Kanishta stage. So we need to rise above it. This is an emotional platform. For example, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he agreed for putting an AC in the temple hall of Chowpatty. But when he saw he was giving a very nice class, and a very nice pastime, Kalya pastime, and this softly he will speak, and people were dozing off nicely in the temple hall. And this was noted by Maharaj. So he told, if this is happening, we have kept AC for the comfort of the devotees, but if it is resulting in sleeping, then we will remove the AC from the temple hall. So the idea is not that we get trapped in the sense gratification tendency, but come out of that. It was kept because the atmosphere is little humid, little warm. So to facilitate devotees to hear, but if it is not serving, then what is the use? So that is why some of the youths, they think that a lot of uh, ideas are there. At first, we have to settle our life. Krishna consciousness later. But Prabhupada never taught this. And that later never comes. We have to go simultaneously. We have to take care of career, our responsibility, but at the same time, make sure our Krishna consciousness is there. And what is a very simple formula? Morning program and service. That should keep going along with our job. Problem is when we spend our whole day and evening for work, then we don't have time for family members or our personal life, and we end up doing that in our morning program. So our morning program gets hampered. So we have to plan in such a way that we keep 8 hours, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's principle. It may look theoretical, but at least we have to aim for that. We have to strive for that, and we should take guidance from the seniors who are able to do that successfully. There are good number of grahasthas in our community also who are able to balance His Grace Gaur Chandra Gopinath Prabhu, Narhari Chaitanya Prabhu himself. They have set very nice standards. They are able to do services, many more. And I cannot speak all the names, but there are many more who are doing it so nicely, balancing their life. Madhura Shyam Prabhu. So we have to learn this from the seniors. And I would like to just share one verse. And as we lost some time, I will not be able to cover all the topics, but let me see if we can cover at least this verse is from 7th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj section 7.14.5, which is very ideal for us to understand how to apply this in our life. So this is the verse. I'm sharing it. Basically, I'll directly go to the translation. While working to earn his livelihood as much as necessary to maintain body and soul together, one who is actually learned should live in human society unattached to family affairs, although externally appearing very much attached. So grahastha life will be internally detached, externally attached. Brahmachari, internally detached, externally detached. Brahmachari cannot be even externally attached. So this gives us a platform. Yeah, I'll try to take 5 more minutes and then we'll open for a discussion. So Karda Muni's glory is not diminished by this indulgence in enjoying with the wife. But we have to understand that internally he had maintained his renunciation spirit. Even one of the verse in Bhagavatam tells how to deal when family members requests so many sense gratificatory propensities or proposals. So the man should only tell yes, but he should not agree and act upon that. When the family members go away, then again he should be back. Just tell yes, 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 yes. Externally very much attached, affectionate, but one should not be too much hard-hearted. Like a small son will come, Papa, I got a centum in mathematics, 100 out of 100. What is the use of these marks? Will it help you to go back home, back to Godhead? Go back from here. If he tells like this, then the son will be too much, not very inspired. So we have to do the needful. We are staying outside. We need to talk with the people in a very social way, very acceptable way, but at the same time internally maintain the detachment spirit. So affectionate but not attached. And sometimes the devotee's husband, they don't get devotee wife, or a devotee wife does not get devotee husband. These problems are there. And now we have also our youths forum where they get marriage bureau. So these problems, they happen. So what to do? This is a great challenge. Need to bend like Kardam Muni, like how he bent for Devhuti. Sometimes we might have to initially bend. So I may not be a right person to speak on this, But whatever I heard from one of the classes of His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu, I was just trying to share that gradually we have to come to a balance. We need to be very mature in understanding how to strike the balance here. And Swayambhuva Manu enjoyed without getting dragged down. Kardama Muni, Swayambhuva Manu, these are our very nice examples. And if we see Bhakti Vinod Thakur's example definition of sense gratification, when we see a sense object and in our mind we register it as a pleasure, immediately when we see pleasure, that means we are seeing the sense object with a pleasure tendency. Sense, that is the state of sense gratification which is there, and which we have to gradually remove it by infusing Krishna consciousness more and more. Unless until we don't do our sadachar, that is basically the morning program, services to the Vaishnavas. With this, gradually it should go, and we should observe this, that is it happening with the seniors' input. Otherwise, we see many voice devotees, they stay, they take training, and then at the end of 3 years of training in the base, they take their tapashapat bag and they forget ISKCON, they forget Prabhupada, and they may come to temple once in Sunday or festival days. They may be doing 16 rounds also. But why we go to temple? बच्चों को थोड़ा अच्छा नाचने को मिलेगा, है ना, थोड़ा entertainment, है ना. So these kind of things, Radheshyam was telling how this fruitive mentality or enjoying tendency is still there in a boy who has attended 3 years of training, and still he's not able to give it up. Very surprising. He's telling it's still a mystery for him, and after hearing so much, he is not able to give up. So we have to see what is the way. Either it is mechanically happening, it is not, we are registering to us, we are not able to act upon it, we are not able to realize it after so much training. So we need to check upon this. And those who don't read Prabhupada books, here Prabhupada is focusing on the Vedic scriptures, but for a sadhaka we can see those who are not reading Prabhupada's books regularly, although it is the same thing, but that when we read again and again, it keeps the orientation very strong. The goal remains very fixed up, that the goal is to quit this material world. Tyaja durjana samsargam bhaja sadhu samagamam kuru punyam ahoratri smaranityam anityatam. Smaranityam anityatam. Always remember the temporary nature of this world. If this doesn't happen, then our goal will be haphazard. We will not be focused and we will get distracted in this material world. So if this is kept, then we will not be able to lose the focus, and we will not get distracted in the material world, but rather will be strongly attached. So reading Srila Prabhupada books regularly, those who have not read, they have lost that association and Krishna consciousness. This is the opinion of so many seniors. And those who don't hear, those who hear Prabhupada lectures daily, it is observed that they remain very strong in Krishna consciousness for very, very long time to come. Maybe they are very hard, they may not be soft, but they remain at least themselves fixed up. So hearing Prabhupada lectures daily and reading Prabhupada books will be very, very crucial for us to maintain our Krishna consciousness. And lastly, Krishna will fulfill the desires only, material desires. See, whatever is written, how much ever hard we try to get job or to increase our salary, etc., Krishna will only fulfill desires of those whose heart are clean. Because if a heart is not clean, no, it will lead to pride and fall down. So Krishna, now we are chanting, all of us are sadhakas, and we are in the hand of Krishna. And Krishna only fulfill desires of very particular devotees like Sudama, Dhruv Maharaj, whom Krishna was sure that they are not going to misuse it. And sometimes in our preaching, some boys are very ambitious. They want to go to US. They want to earn a lot of money. We may not immediately try to discourage them that all this is Maya, but we need to try to slowly deal with them so maturely that they keep their touch with devotees. If they don't keep the touch only with devotees, then they are lost. So we should not too much immaturely push them that leave those jobs or ambitions, especially NITK devotees and engineering, good college devotees. They have a lot of passion and ambition. So in our preaching also, we need to take care of that. So in nutshell, we just today discussed about that how gratification for liberation, what kind of sense gratification as recommended in the scriptures one should follow so that ultimately it leads one to its destination, not abruptly living or not too much engaging in the sense gratification. We discussed the examples of Kardama Muni, Devahuti, that how Kardama Muni also engaged in material enjoyment, but his background was, his mentality was completely favorable of taking renunciation. He had the blessings, he was an austere sage, and he entered with an exit plan. And after getting married also, he did not indulge in sense gratification. So this was one of the prominent examples which we discussed, along with Raghunath Das Goswami, Narada Muni instructing Vyasadeva, and Swayambhuva Manu. And we discussed some practical aspects, that how as a sadhaka, we need to also take care of our sadhana in such a way that we remain in good association and we slowly detach from sense gratification. It may not be very abrupt. We discuss example of that brahmachari who was complained about eating his paneer, that how he had a different background. And sometimes we too much start 64 rounds or sadhana, and then again we may come back to sense gratificatory tendencies. So it should be very gradual, and we should report to our seniors that we can take their blessings. I am planning to do this kind of austerity. Is it okay? Like when I asked Radhesham Prabhuji, can I do Bhishma Panchaka? And he told, hey, Bhishma Panchaka is not for you. You are a very thin, skinny fellow. You don't do Bhishma Panchaka. So they will tell us. Otherwise, out of our neophyte or immature enthusiasm, we may end up doing wrong way, which may hurt ourselves. So we try to discuss on how to regulate our sense gratification, ultimately, which can help us to elevate on the spiritual path. So thank you very much. Although I am not the right person to speak on about the Grahastha life, but whatever I heard, I just shared from His Grace Radhesham Prabhu's class. If there is any comments or correction, please feel free to share. So here, when our Vittal Karuna Prabhu is asking that, since we discussed that when it comes to family members, we need to just tell yes, yes, yes. And if one of the yes is also not fulfilled, then the family members will revolt. ये तो खाली बोलते रहते हैं, करते नहीं हैं. हाँ हाँ बोल रहे हैं, करते नहीं हैं. But that is why we discussed that it should not be completely one-sided game. That how Prabhupada helped his family members to gradually come to the level of spiritual life. He helped them to go to movies. He purchased a car. He did it. But eventually, when the wife told the tea or coffee or tea or me, then she chose tea. Then it was a time. That was no delay. So husband should be the more spiritually elevated person, and he should be ready to take some strong steps if required. And yeah, by telling yes, we are just maintaining a good ambience between us. But when it crosses the limit, when it is affecting our spiritual life, that time it has to be told no. And even if the family members are initially not happy, eventually, hopefully they will agree. That is the idea. So does that answer, Vittal Karuna?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Basically, this is my thought process.
Yes.
When we say yes, we should fulfill. Okay, when you don't say yes, then you have to say why I am not saying this yes. So there must be very clarity. Then what happens to the family member? So whatever he says yes, he will definitely fulfill. Whatever he says no, so come what may, he will not fulfill.
Okay. So Vittal Karuna Prabhu is telling that when we are going to fulfill, we tell yes. And when we are not going to fulfill, we should just maintain silence. So
Not silence, not silence. You should tell,
clarify.
Why, no, this is not possible, and why it is not possible, and
Right.
why I don't want to do this.
Okay.
There may be frictions.
But what if they don't agree? After
If
we
they
have
don't agree, also don't do it.
Yeah. So Prabhuji is telling, even if after my clarification, if they don't agree with our understanding, then we should maintain that no and go ahead like that.
Then later on, what happens when the time comes, they will realize Yes, what he was telling is right. They themselves will realize.
Oh.
So in other words, what I'm trying to say is one should be very, very transparent, open, straightforward.
Yeah. So Prabhuji is actually, this is a Bhagavatam's purport only, which verse which tells about that, yes. And Prabhuji is giving an input that we should be transparent. We should tell yes when we are okay and explain when we are not okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Hmm.
Yeah. So it will told that whenever we will put so much ghee into the lamp, then it will stop. So here you gave some analogy also, but in between some disturbance was there, so it was not complete, like clear for me. Can you once again tell?
So when we put lot of ghee, we think that the fire will burn more. The fire will increase.
So here what the fire represents and what the ghee represents.
Yeah. So here the ghee is representing that we are fulfilling our material desires more and more.
Okay.
The
Sense gratification.
sense gratification. So we pour more ghee. We indulge more in sense gratification, thinking that the fire will, the itch, the desire of enjoyment will go away. It will go away, but it comes again and again. The fire remains. Just by pouring more and more ghee, it doesn't mean that the fire will be extinguished. It will come again and the desire will remain. That is why that Sambhog se Samadhi, that philosophy doesn't hold true. We have to, that is why I gave the typhoid example, that we have to restrict it.
Okay, and pouring more ghee, it will stop, fire will stop. So does it mean that the desire will stop, like pouring more ghee?
Pouring more ghee, if what the example, actually it is not practically possible to pour more ghee. Pour more ghee means we are trying to enjoy more our senses, but we don't have capacity only to enjoy. It is not very practical to pour more ghee, because if we eat 1 gulab jamun, 2 gulab jamun, 3 gulab jamun, 4 gulab jamun, what will happen? Our body will not be able to take it up. So we don't have capacity only to enjoy the senses more. So we don't have capacity to put more ghee.
Vary from person to person, like more is like 10 gulab jamun for me, 20 for it, like.
But in essence, if we pour more, if we increase the ghee content for 10 gulab jamun for one person or 20 for another, but eventually this is not the solution to pour more ghee and to completely extinguish the fire. The fire will still remain, the desire will still remain, and it will keep coming. And another aspect to see it, we don't have that much capacity also to pour so much ghee, so that the fire will be completely extinguished. Yes, bro. Malini Mataji also has an, after Prasadeshwar Prabhu, Malini Mataji.
Just to add that, Prabhu, so the analogy is that by enjoying the senses, the propensity for enjoying senses will not go.
Yes.
That is the analogy. Like fire is there, putting ghee, I mean, you're burning it. By burning more, your propensity for sense enjoyment will not go. It will increase. That is the analogy. You understand, right? So if somebody thinks that, okay, today I have propensity, I'll enjoy it. Tomorrow I'll not enjoy it. So my senses will finished. No, that may increase more.
Yes.
That is another.
Thank you, Prabhu. Malini Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavats. Thank you for the very nice, insightful class on Grihastha Ashram. I just had some.
We are not able to hear you.
Okay, can you hear me, Prabhu? Hello, Hare Krishna.
We can, maybe you can increase the sound, Prabhuji. Mataji, we can hear you.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class on the insights on Grihastha Ashram. Can you hear
Maybe
me?
you can send a chat message. She is speaking, but we are not able to hear.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me now?
Mataji, just 1 minute. I will inform Vanamali Govinda Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Mataji, now you can speak.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me now, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
So thank you for the nice class on insights on Grihastha Ashram principles. I just had one thought coming in my mind. You're mentioning about in NITK students you know, going or hankering for more money and, you know, higher goals. So I was just thinking that when it practically, I think we should just tell the students that ultimately, if the goal is to dovetail whatever they earn, you know, in the devotional service, that should be nice, because they may have the capacity, they may have the inclination to earn. We can serve the Lord in 4 ways: by intelligence, by our words, by money, and by with our body. So if some students have that kind of capacity, you know, to with the intelligence that they can earn money, they can contribute to the society, right? For preaching and all that. So instead of telling them that it is Maya to, you know, aspire for more and more money, better job, we can tell them they can dovetail. The attitude should be taught. That's what I felt, Prabhu.
Yes,
Thank you.
Mother.
Hare Krishna.
That's why I was mentioning that we should not discourage them. If they want, let them US earn more money, especially when they are too much wanting for that. There are students that money is not after everything. And if we keep stopping, nahi, Maya hai, then eventually they will end up going and they will lose connection also with us. So, but my understanding is that we should give them some understanding of how money is not the ultimate thing. And as you very rightly told, we can engage them in the service. If maturely dealt with, if they are kept in good connection, then they use that same money Krishna service. And eventually they get more purified of the desire of earning more and more money only as the only way to serve. And as we see that Krishna tells in 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that if somebody cannot offer me mind, then work. And if cannot work, then offer the fruits. So we need to eventually get them to the higher level by gradually engaging them. Thank you very much, Malini. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So that analogy Prasad is too clear, and how the tendency remains even after pouring more ghee. So we'll end here. Shri Bhagavad Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can end.
I just end the class. Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpataru, sakya prasya, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo.